No. That's okay.
I haven't mentioned that to anybody because I don't want to say something and feel like we're coming to it.
So the file that you sent me, the trace file, is actually the wrong version. You can look on there, one for the seed is the other version. So I did go find download it, flashed it. I can't get the program command line. It always just what it's doing now is long green light, long green light, 9 seconds. Yeah, when you look at it on the drive, it does have I can't get it on the pictures. So I'm going to let you do it on the computer.
Hey, Paul, is it in Google Drive?
It actually probably uses more power to draw than the practice.
Well, I can see why he uses those. Basically,
that's what he did. It did work for we're looking at the star.
Jess's presentation when I get well, sometimes
I need to get this far. They will turn the radio
plugged into
I was able to get the
cord on
I've used it many times. Never did. That happened. Update. After the update, just quit doing it. When did they come out? No, it's all, I've done everything I can. Yeah.
But it's got
I've reinstalled several.
it's a one like
I've done it.
high power. It's not working.
Safety's going
It's a C chip, interface chip, which is used in a lot of Bluetooth is built in.
I can't.
Maybe you'll have better luck with it.
And I'm gonna get you a piece of merit.
Good luck with it. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just finally got, I had to order some stuff. I finally got it.
Yeah, it is, but I'm not hard to I don't think we want to trust her with this.
Better for me to trust you with it than you to trust God bring us back the next time we meet.
I gave you options. I went high, I'd already. Was every one of us, was that right? Yep.
Particularly though, ACL didn't get to over here.
No, they didn't.
He put it up.
Which one?
One that's not a shortcut.
I think this is actually work. I think we're actually streaming now. Hello, world.
Obviously that's it. But I did share some pictures in the gallery to the info account. Can you pull that up on Google Drive?
The what now?
The Athens Radio Club.
Yeah, let me try to get this up and running.
It'd be interesting to come check it out, see if I
I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in this topic. Interested in Poto.
I just have to listen to it if it don't. No, I can
A lot of these people, I haven't heard Justin in a long time. I got to take the next 4 Fridays off, so I think I may have time to do it. You have to? let's see what this looks like online. Are we on the line?
I think so, we're not sure. Yeah, can you see the photos I just shared?
I should do what now?
Can you see the photos I shared?
Send me to the photo. I'm scared. Can you show them at the end?
If we can get them to show up on there, that's okay. We can.
What you should be able to do. So where are they?
I shared them to the Athens Radio Club info email
Oh,
address.
Gmail.
Yeah, Gmail. Supposed to be under an account.
I started getting sick the day before to leave.
And so, see,
So it should. All right, so you should be able to. Let's see. All right, so it's working. So you'll be presenting from here. And when you hit escape, it'll take you back out to that Chrome window. It'll change the tab.
that's all I really want to do it first.
Okay.
So hit escape and tab over. Okay.
And when you go back to the presentation, just make sure to put it in your presentation slideshow.
Yeah, so hit F5 there.
I work for CGA, tax department, but I was like, one day I could like get a job in New York or something.
Someone got you another activation here?
And radio was a huge part of that because it's weather and keeping your contract. And I was like, well, you know, it'd be a cool skill to have to be, you know, which won't be probably for a few years to try it out. But I was like, I don't really know anything, so I don't know if I like it or not. So
Well, I checked, and I saw you
I mean,
got
it
one.
seems like cool, interesting, but I know this, you know, technical side. So I was like, what if we have a, you know, amateur, you know, radio something? I said, oh, that's nuts. When it happens, so I'll check it out, see what it's all about. Yeah.
Have you been to the museum there at Warner Robins?
Yeah. Based on the size of it, just looking at it, it's like, yeah, we can tell. Yeah, I think I just looked, I think I must have just Googled radio, and then I found your website, and then I was like, oh, saw that it was the video meeting, so such and such.
When I was about 8 years old, they were having an air show at the Charlie Brown Airport, right beside the cruiser. I got to go in a T-38 plane. I got to go in a T-38 plane.
That's it, no, it's broadcast, it's just.
Me, B-38 watch. Between the B-4 and B-38, I'll go to B-38.
I'm working in the marine science department doing different kind of research support for some of the, like they got some research projects down there. And so like the institute and stuff down like South. And so I'm, doing one of the behind the scenes stuff, organizing names, all of that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so there are people that are like, right, making sure that like this thing gets paid, so it gets paid big. We're having meetings about this to help people figure this out. Lots of organizing, lots of keeping track of all the publications that come out, keeping track of all of those reports and everything like that. So all that kind of like behind the scenes stuff, and it's just a million little things that
How much? $2.
yeah, definitely.
My dad.
Yeah.
You never forget it.
Every day. A couple years ago, I was in New York, in the Catskills Mountains, and ran into some people who they were doing some kind of radio thing, getting like hike up to some of the mountains, and they were trying to call other people, and it was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and there was something.
Y'all ready to get started?
They had to be trying to get a certain number of notifications. All right, I'll send it here. All right.
We eating all the candy back there, George. Is there candy back there? No.
Cookies and fruit.
All right, thanks for coming tonight. It's been an interesting February and an interesting March already. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll go around real quick, and then Claude's going to talk to us on his favorite subject, which is POTA, and Georgia Parks on the Air, which is the next thing, or it's right after some of our stuff that I'll go over after Claude goes over his presentation. So, I'm Philip, W4PHC, and last month I've done a lot of wind length P2P, a couple of nets, and getting mad at my antennas and limbs for taking them down too many times. But Ralph, go ahead and we'll go around like this real quick.
KB3 IPT Ralph, not much new here this last month.
Andy, KM4 HVZ.
Bruce, KX4AZ. Just a couple of things. I fixed a broken loop antenna that got chipped over by that storm a couple of weeks ago. Same storm that toppled the famous Iron Horse sculpture in Athens. I think it must have been the same wind I knocked it over and broke the loop off the preamp, but I got that fixed. And the second thing is, this is not exactly a ham radio thing, but I'm really big into fireworks, and I recently bought a new fancier remote firing system, which happens to use the 433 megahertz ISM band, same band that all these weatherless weather stations and such use, and so I'm testing out this new system. It's pretty cool how it digitally sends that signal into that band. So, that's it.
As fireworks?
Yep.
What you said? So the weather stations set off the fireworks too?
Yeah. Yep.
That'd be a problem.
Field day. You've got to come to field day.
I'm Chris, N5TOY, and activity, one dry time net, a little bit of photo chasing, and you mentioned loop antennas, Bruce. I worked on my loop antenna, went from a delta to a rectangle, and it seemed to tune up better than it used to. So it's fun stuff.
Kenny
KK4THB. I've been chasing photo and HF, of course. And started doing a lot of FT4. I've got my power down from 70 watts down to 20 watts. And I still can't tell any difference. So next week I'll get it down another 10 watts and see where I can live with that. But I do a lot of FT4 now and BSK31.
Richard, KR4OS, and playing with Meshtastic a little, and playing with some of these digital modes, Swing Link and Bar, AC, about it.
Mark W0GZR, and Tom and I took a trip to Orlando to Hamcation a few weeks ago, and it was just awful.
They take your money?
Yeah, they will, and I gave them some money too.
You buy a ring?
No. I bought a battery. Anyway, I bought a lot of stuff and some bad food. I think Tom will agree with that. Anyway, I ran into Richard at Free IT a week or two ago. I guess it was 2 weeks ago, and he says, FT8 is crack for hands. And I thought, boy, is that true? And I went home and I started playing with it. If I've got 10 minutes, I'll go out and do a couple QSOs. I really enjoy that. So, back to you, Colin.
Colin, KO4IZK. Haven't done a lot. Been failing at some Meshtastic stuff, and Jess should relate with me. And I've been doing some Wing Link too, trying, failing at that too, but had some success.
I'm Bill, KQ4PGV. We're doing a bunch of summits on the air and parks on the air, and I'm putting together a radio box for parks on the air so that I don't have to keep using this backpack that is killing me.
Gerald, KM4AAA. Haven't done a whole bunch of nothing.
I'm Io. I don't have a license. I just didn't know anything about radios. Thought I'd come and check it out. So here I am.
Thank you. I'm Jess, Nagasaki 4 Jalapenos, Anaheims, and Huevos. I have been participating in the morning drive time net Monday through Fridays from about 6:45 to 7:30 on the 330 machine. We're hunting Easter eggs again. You may find us on 7:45 now that it's back up and running. Couple of POTA activations. I've not been getting out as much as I want to lately due to other obligations. I have successfully presented 2 failed presentations. And I did, well, the last one, a month ago, the club president, it was okay, it just didn't make it to YouTube. This week it just failed miserably. The presentation was okay, but what we did, we audio link coupled at the end, and that worked out okay. And then I worked the Publix Marathon this weekend in a SAG van and came home with a jacket suitable to wear out in public. So if you didn't sign up, you need to sign up next year. They give you some nice swag.
Yeah. So me, Bob, KE4JL, I did the Publix Marathon as well. Worked the medical tent and had a good time.
Didn't lose his phone or nothing?
Didn't lose it. I was real happy about that. I thought I lost it at one point, but it was spot pockets. Actually, the park down in South Shore, been doing drive time there in the morning. You guys on the air from one of the 12 feeders. Join us, it's a lot of fun. 60 meter net, we started at, and the Sunday HF net, Thursday nets. That's about it.
James, KF4AQO. I've done Wing Link, so peer-to-peer, VARA, HF, VARA, peer-to-peer, chased some POTA activations. I've been unsuccessful with Meshtastic devices also. I can't get them to read flash.
Same problem.
I mean, I don't care how big that flashlight is.
Because Jess said it was only $20.
25.
Yeah, 25 now, they've gone up because of the tickets. But just enjoying ham radio.
So you have Claude, AC4SH, we'll have a lot more to talk about, so.
Next.
I'm
done a lot of good things on radio, but I've been still working on my antennas and a little bit of parks on the air in the basement, and that's a lot of fun. Other than that, not too much. Tom?
I'm Scott, still studying for the technician license. Plan to take the test here next month, so.
And general, tech and general.
Okay, I gotta do some more studying.
Kevin, KR4 BDR, ignorant rookie. I've been playing with the Anytone 878 for about 3-4 weeks. Downloaded Echo Link 3 nights ago, so I've been doing a couple nets on that. And Lookout Mountain drop time today. And thanks to Jess, him and Bill McGee recommended the signal stick, so I've got
Don't
that.
thank me yet. Have you bought it?
Yeah.
Have you used it?
No.
Don't thank me yet.
I'll just bring next one and whip you with it.
At this point, all I've done is cost you to spend money, so.
Well, I think that was gonna happen no matter what, so.
You'll like it, it's good.
Got some QLS, cars on order, QSL cars on order, and found me Elmer here local. I don't think he's part of the group here, but he's been pretty good helping me out so far. And studying for the general to take April 1st.
I'm Andy, KT4 DBW, and I've got to talk to them in the morning some, and get the 2 meeting here lately, and I ain't make George a good bit. But everybody's been a help to me, and I appreciate it. I too recommend the signal stick, so you don't like it, holler, and
How much more range you get out of it?
it depends, depending on my line of sight and everything else, that's a lot better than that. I still think it works way better than that, so, it comes with it, so.
I'm KZ4, GRK, George in Danielsville. I've been in it about a year, and he ain't getting much information from me, but I give him what I got. I'm all analog, 2 meters, 440 the morning thing, with the guys driving in when I get my grandson away from the microphone. And on the weekends, I sit at home in the dark, wait for Bill to get to the top of the summit so I can get back to him chasing the soda.
I do appreciate that. It's cold up there sometimes.
Push my wife over there to the microphone where she can give him a contact too. But I've been having fun.
I didn't hear Kathleen back there.
Surprise.
Public Information Officer, Ken for IJM, send out messages. And I know we have multiple communication mechanisms. Number 1 is our listserv, which is group.o. Number 2 is probably our website, gives you all the information you need, but if you want updates, you can sign up for the listserv, enter it, I post to Facebook now and then. And that also repeats, but sometimes it's pictures. And we also have cookies and grapes here for anybody that wants them. If you can't make it to Claude's presentation.
Bob was kind enough to do it. We still don't have a vice president. Anybody want to volunteer? Okay. Claude volunteered to go over POTA with us, and what's coming up here soon is Georgia Parks on the Air. And if you haven't done Georgia Parks on the Air, he's going to teach you or inform you how to do it, and it's lots of fun.
Thank you. KR4s. I wonder where it's going to go, so that's good. And so, long time ago, way before I got a ham radio license, I was interested in radio and didn't get electrocuted or anything like that, but always tinkered. And I put off getting licensed till '92 when the no-code tech first came out. Played with it in Elberton, enjoyed it, did some DX and this and that and other, and then moved to Athens and didn't do anything for a long time because things happen as you move up in life and go to HOA restricted neighborhoods and this and that and other comes on. But anyway, one day I go to this little office, I guess it is, down there in the farm, and some fellow named Jess, M4JH, said, "Oh, that thing you just handed you was laying in the corner, Chris." He said, "Oh, I use that for parks on air." So, what are you talking about? Never heard of this thing before. parks on the air. So what does a regular person do? You go and Google parks on the air and you find it, and find out it just got started a while back. So I found out I could do it. And these old radios right here, in fact, let's see if I can get this presentation going. I was going to make you a real dry, slow presentation. Started to pick out pictures that I could put in there to make it go a little better. Well, you know, I got a crap load of pictures. And I'm trying, you're not going to see, if it doesn't work at all, you don't have to see any of it. Anyway, those first few things were old equipment I had left over, and you got my QSL card stuck out in front of it, and that's because I sold all but 3 of them on QRZ. If you ever never looked at QRZ.com, QRZ.com, take a look at it. It's a good place. You can look up call signs. Yes, I think it's broke. And you can sell equipment too, but you have to have your QSL card in front of it. But there was a Yaesu 757 HF rig that I had left over. It worked kind of good and kind of bad. I had a TS50 Kenwood, a lot smaller radio that was a nice portable rig, but it had problems too. Then there was an amplifier and a tuner. I sold all that and it helped me get started. Bought an FT891. Who's got an 891 now? There's quite a few of them. It's a really compact, fairly recent. I mean, ham radio takes longer to progress through. Man, I tell you what, that is slow.
I got that same video at home.
Do you? Yeah. So we may need to page through them instead. Anyway, I sold that stuff, bought the 891, bought me a bigger version of the Wolf River Coil that he just handed you off there, Chris. And it works. Works pretty good. Yeah, we'll just page through it when it comes up. Rather than go through the whole presentation of it, I'm going to just go down through there. And that was the amplifier and the tuner and the TS50 right there. And if I can get this thing to move, we'll be all right. Not, we'll change over to something else. There's a 757, and there's a Wolf River Coil setup. Nick, behind that white car right there, that's the first setup at a table with the, hey, there is a Bioenno battery, and that's a close-up view of the antenna. Now I found that over in my stuff left over, on top of that brown thing right there, that's a 4-foot extension, 3/8 on top and bottom. And let me tell you, if you ever have a Wolf River Coil and put an extension underneath it, it makes a big difference on the way it works. So I used that for a long time. That's a setup somewhere, who knows where. I'm not going to try to tell you, I know where all these are. This one on the rightmost, that's at Hart State Park, right there. Let's see what else we can find. I wish I had it where you could just go while I wasn't looking. The one with the sunrise over there, that's down at FDR Park. There's another view of the Wolf River Coil at the back of the truck right there. Where the green sign is right there, that's up at Hogpen Gap, up above Helen. It's a threefer. Well, I'll talk photo stuff. It's actually in 3 park locations. The Appalachian Trail crosses right there. It's in the WMA, and it's in Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest. And I was up there sitting in the car because it wasn't any place to set up. And 2 or 3 guys come walking out of the woods, been doing soda, and I'm giving three different partners. How many can you give? Because they've been on top of a mountain. They're going to do one at a time. So anyway, that's the way it goes. That's over at Vogel right here. This one. Who knows? That's down at another part of Redlands you may not have been to, Jess. And that's more and more and more and more. And that's indoor in the car right there. Oh, look, it does work. I can do it like that. And then that's another view. Oh, let's see. That's after I got my first fiberglass whip right there. And so there's the end of it right there. And outside I could home make antennas, so I did. And there's one down low. That yellow thing is the end of a handle off of a plastic storage container. Makes a great center insulator for, and you put a BNC connector on it, it works. And that's at the back of the truck, a pretty day. That looks like that's over at near Royston, at Broad River WMA at the top of the hill right there. Just enough room to stretch a 40-meter dipole out there. And that's where I thought it was going to be cool to have a shade to go in front of the radio when it got hot in the car, but that thing kept blowing away. But that's the FT891 and 12-amp Bioenno sitting there. And on my lap is the laptop I was logging with. and this is more and more and more in this. If you see one you like, that's sitting up at near Atlanta, where I got called back after Auburn was run off, being set up at a park. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, the guy that was the new park ranger said, I don't know whether you can do that. I talked to him long enough where he got tired of listening to me and let me set up. And then he calls me back 6 weeks later, well, come on for the presentation. So the guy in the red shirt is actually a fireman that was up there doing a presentation that day too. Another random place, that's my old cheap drive-on mount I made out of a piece of wood and a piece of fiberglass to support a pole that it would slide in there and I could drive on it. And where is that? Yeah, which one? Blue Ridge WMA. And that's way down South Georgia, near Waycross, Laura Walker, and I thought that looked like Jess in the hammock there, but I don't know. Because he does like a hammock. But they had set up for Halloween. There's some turtles on the log. I don't know who that, which one that looks like. I believe that would be Hard Labor Creek, if I'm not mistaken. And who knows? They own and own. Oh, and when I've activated twice all the parks in Georgia. First time around, I found out when you got far south of the net line, you see these alligator signs. And
You didn't see him on the road?
hmm?
You lucky you didn't see him on the
It was a
road?
little cold, and he'd been out otherwise. But I would have run around him, not over him, because I figured he'd bite my tires. That's back in the unknown WMA, somewhere down in South Georgia. That's the top view of the little plastic handle, the BNC connector, and little bought stuff, a little bit homemade stuff. That is, okay, unknown fire and rain somewhere. And again, that's Paulk's pasture down near Brunswick. I remember that one because it was early in the morning, nice and cool, and no sound at all. It was only 3 miles from I-95, but it's super quiet. Redlands again, we've been down there a few times. Who knows what a kilo is? A kilo in parks on air is you've activated it.
You're at a police station.
Yeah, that's when you made over 1,000 contacts from that park. And the Redlands, and you probably got a kilo there too. I know I do, and a few others around. But I've been to the Redlands, which is just below the Iron Horse somebody was talking about earlier. That's one location for it down there. Yes. I think that's at Brunswick, at the plantation that's up there. I can't remember the name of it. It's bad when you can't remember.
Even if you knew it, you couldn't pronounce it.
You know, that's right. Some of those are that hard. This is Charlie Elliott. How many parts does that represent? 3, yeah. Because the map manager, who I know real well, sometimes I don't know myself anyway, can't figure out the borders from one to the other to the other. So it's Charlie Elliott Wildlife Center is interlocked with Marvin Lakes and the firing range up there. And this is down at A.H. Stevens State Park near Crawfordville. Who's ever seen that thing? But that's back there. The CCC built that way back when. That's a view of the sky. Who knows why? And again, I wasn't sitting on my lap. It's sitting on the console there. You see, I like AC log for logging, but there's a lot of other ways you can log photo. Kathleen knows where this one is. She'll look up.
Oh, yeah.
That's Richard Russell over, and that's back behind the golf course at Richard Russell State Park, north of Elberton, was actually a training site in '96 for the Olympics.
And we put that picture in Wikipedia.
It is indeed. That's right. Wikipedia. Yeah. This is when I was getting ready to go to the islands. I said, I'm going to see if I can set up on the sand beach. This is actually over at Fort Yargo, but sat on the stool, had the radio sitting on the ground on that box, that green box, and it works. That's Wassaw, Ossabaw Island. So a bunch of islands down there. I got to sit on the porch at Ossabaw. That's what it was. Got the antenna beside me, and I'm sitting in the chair there. Gosh, who knows? And this is the mill, Hamburg State Park. They got a nice mill and water wheel. And again, I don't know them all. There's 2 Indian sites. New Echota is one, and this is Chief Van House is what this is. And Trail of Tears is a park in addition to those other 2, so you can get 2 for there. This is at Cumberland, so that's the horse. I recognize him. Remember him. Walked up behind me when I was sitting on the other bench over there. And that's the ruins down at Cumberland there too. And who knows where. In Holloway Swamp. But it's a park. And that's at Sapelo Island Visitor Center. Remember, you heard it in the news, they had a collapse. It wasn't the walkway that collapsed, it was between there and the walkway out to the dock. But that is my setup at Sapelo. They put me in the back of a van that the phone company used, and the guy that was, so he set me up at the beach right there, looking out over the water, all by myself, just like that right there. It's a pretty nice spot. And that's the bus, waiting for me to take my stuff down so I can get in the bus and leave. And that's, again, I don't know why I put pictures of that again. And this is at the, what they call it, Neil called this the buggy hole down there. It's close to Charlie Elliott. It's just a little bitty WMA opening. It's got plenty of bugs. Oh, that was, not that you really, that's Neo KS4KY over at Panola Mountain when we met up over there one day. Jess printed me the rails to go on side 891. Ain't that pretty? And that's the River Creek. Who's ever been to River Creek? And it is way down there. It's next between Bainbridge and Thomasville. Who knows where Bainbridge and Thomasville? What's the closest big city? Tallahassee. Yeah. It's way down there. And that's Silver Lake, not too far from there either. That's the Eagle's Nest, of course. And more and more and more. El Model, WMA. I know where.
Were those traps? Were they for 80 meter or were they for 40?
Traps. Yeah. So anybody know where that sign is? Yeah. Colin knows because he went there last year. When you go to Fargo and head out to Stephen Foster State Park in Okefenokee, the last turn you get there and you see the sign says dead end 17 miles and you can't turn off because you're in the middle of the swamp. There's that Stephen Foster and the little impoundment right at the edge of Okefenokee there too. Pretty place. That's the one you couldn't get. We got it done this year. Suwannee River Eco Lodge at Fargo. It's done. Grand Bay WMA, the sign looks a little rough, but it's a pretty place because look out through. And again, another view, I think that's actually Seminole there. Doe Run Pitcher Plant. These things, if you ever look on the Parks and Air site, you'll see a lot of these parks and they don't register. You don't know where they are. And I can tell you, they're all there. Some of them are harder to find than others. That's the another memorial site. Who was the CSA president?
Jefferson Davis.
Jefferson Davis site. That's right, indeed. Thanks, Bob. And that's set up back away from it. It's only open on Thursday through Sunday too, by the way. Don't go there too early. This is just a pretty picture down at Sweetwater Creek one morning. I got there early enough to see the fog rise and I thought it was pretty neat. And you're going to see a lot. You'll probably see this when you do antenna tuning. Look at that. That's actually the Wolf River coil with 44-foot extension being able to tune 80 meters right there. Gosh, who knows? Oh, that's back at, actually that's at Watson Mill. I walked out and did activation on the side of a bench out there one day. This is at Panola Mountain State Park. If you walk around behind the park site, Panola Mountain's in Arabia Mountain National Heritage Area, but Arabia Mountain you can barely see on the far right over there. But guess what that is? Stone Mountain. You can see them all three from that because you're on top of Panola. Arabia's to your right, Stone Mountain's in the background like that. And that's a better view of the site where I was, and I don't know. I wish I could tell you. And if I'm boring you with it, you tell me when that's in at Jimmy Carter, out in front of the museum there. Another random setup. This is at
National Park or a state park?
Jimmy Carter. It's a national heritage site, I think is what they call it, but it's national. And national parks and state parks count. This is the thing up near Cartersville that I can't remember the name of it, but it's interesting looking turbine there. And again, changed cars. Oh, look, and then I changed radios. And after that time, I pretty much used the KX2 at 10 watts from then on. Every now and then I grab 891 out, but it's usually set on 50. George T. Bagby State Park, that's a long way down there too. And it's not a lodge there anymore. It used to be in the name description. And that's what the lake looks like down at George T. Bagby. And that's the KX2 sitting on the dash. And that's the firing range. Oh, they didn't police their brass, so did they look at all that stuff, wouldn't you? If you were ever in the military, you'd hate to see this. And that's my progress so far at that point. Those in the red and the green and orange I need to get completed. So I've moved that far along the way. And that's a gopher hole. And that's me set up in another WMA and another lake. And Fort Morris is over there on the east coast of Georgia. And that's part of it right there, the Gwali Village, and that's down that way too. And I know that's another firing range. It gets, oh, look at there. I had to get out of the woods that time. Oh, and that was headed to Shelby. That's another one. I'm going to try to zip through these where I don't wear you out. Flat Tub WMA, Rogers WMA. That's, yeah, another one. That's at General Coffee, yeah. And near Douglas. And I made a loop down through there. Was it Grand something? And Germany Creek, that's not far away from us, but it's so rare to get over there between Augusta and Lincoln, and who goes that way, you know. It's a nice little table I use set up sometimes. That's where I got out my pole. That's actually the first one I did in Tennessee right there. These all are in time sequence. I'm not just jumping around. That's my better drive on mount right there. Oh, this is one. This I actually kind of like this one because W4H is what we use down at Hard Labor Creek for Wicked for Halloween. I thought this was pretty neat because it shows Echo Alpha 1 Fox India Charlie, the one that spotted us on 17 meters. So we know we made contact with England from there. I mean, Spain, excuse me, Echo Alpha 1 from Spain. Oh, that's Skip setting up his radio, and he didn't know I was taking his picture there. That's at Hard Labor Creek too. And that's when we set up over at Fort Yargo and tried out our signs. And that's the treehouse. You probably nobody's seen this one much. This is actually on a little island my buddy owns down near Darien. And that was my overnight accommodation, 2 nights accommodations right there. I had to climb a ladder to get up there, but that's how I got to Blackbeard Island and Wolf Island. Frank Williams owns this island down there. He calls it the Pentagon. If you look real close, it's got 5 sides. But he's got mules, donkeys out there. That's the best picture you can get of Wolf Island because there ain't no trees. That sign says people can't put their foot on the island, so I set up on the rail of the boat. And that's a pretty view from this dock. And that's us headed out to Blackbeard the next day. And that's
where was he going out of right there? Going out to Blackbeard out of where?
His island is about a mile east of Darien.
Okay.
So he can go 10 minutes from his house, be on his island. It's a marsh island, it's not an ocean side. Blackbeard's an ocean side, so is Wolf.
Yeah.
And it's near Sapelo down that way too.
Coming out on Blackbeard, we went out to Shelburne Bluff out there.
Okay. Yeah, well his house is about 3 miles south of Shelburne Bluff. It's really not in Darien, it's a little further south. This is the entrance to the walkway to the national site on Blackbeard right there. So that's probably the easiest place to set up because back behind those palm trees behind me is a couple of picnic tables. They didn't say they were public use, so they didn't run me off. So another 100 cusos right there from one of the, if you look up Blackbeard, and been too many people down there. Back to Stevens. This is Savannah NWR up above Savannah. They've got 2 sides to it. One's in Georgia and one's South Carolina. If you're on the Georgia side, you're looking at the container yard right there pretty much. It was a real windy day that way. That's where the Savannah Club activates worm slope. If you ever, this is Rodney Hall boat ramp. Butterbean Beach is the name of that. That's not me, but I'd had clothes on similar to that when we went out to Wausau, which was my number 203, which ended that bunch, and that's me sitting on the top of the box for 140 cusos down there. I got tired of sitting there after a while, as you can imagine. That's me saying, yeah, I did it. Okay. And the two guys who went out there with me said they'd never been to Oswald, and they started crying. Not really, but the boat captain said, well, I left my sunglasses down at Oswald. I'll drop you off if you be real quick. So he took them down there for the same trip and let them go to Oswald too. That was Chris too, by the way, and KY4BX. Anyway, AE4XO. And those are South Carolina, and I'll try not to be any longer than I have to be with this. There's one I want to get to, and then I'm going to hop out. That was Red Cliff. That was in South Carolina. Another pretty view of Ossabaw. Another sign sitting on the porch. And all this stuff with POTA, Parks on the Air. I met a lot of people, talked to a lot of them, been to different get-togethers. But there's one I wanted to get to here, and I may not get to it before I start the other piece. And I'm trying not to make it so super long. If you can't hear me, let me know. But you see it's over and over, lots of stuff like this. But there's one guy, K4CLF. You may not have ever had a QSO with Cliff Fussell. But Kathleen, you're not listening to me. That's okay. You remember Polk City, Florida? You saw that on the map one time. Clifton Fussell, that's him right there. Made 130 contacts with him before he went SK. He died about a year and a half ago. But I made 130 40-meter contacts just about every time. I'd get out there fairly early morning. Cliff was always there. I could catch his voice before he said K, kilo. I know it's Cliff. That's pretty cool to be able to do that. So let me see if I can swap over here, Jess, and I'll try to get any real questions about that before I wear you out on the next thing. I guess not.
You ever worked Kennesaw?
Kennesaw, done it twice. They had Kennesaw Mountains up above Marietta, and first time I did it, I actually set up in the overflow parking lot there, and it was cold, spitting snow, and I stayed in the car. Second time I did it, first 12 QSOs was on the HT on the very top at the brass marker up there.
Okay. Did you drive over Cheatham Hill, try Cheatham Hill just down the road?
No.
It's part of Kennesaw.
No.
Okay. I've worked that one.
So,
What about the Gold Museum up there in Delano?
yeah, I've been
Go
there
right.
one time.
Go right.
Okay.
But where would you set up?
Right.
I got you. Oh, the Gold Museum, I will tell you that the Gold Museum
Not in your car.
looks like, no, you can't do it in your car and be legal. I asked my wife, she said that's right. No, actually, the truth is the map, and the maps are important when you're doing parks and areas. All your equipment and yourself have to be within the park boundaries. That one up there, it's pretty clear. There's this rock curve that goes around the center part. It looks like a city hall. Then there's a roadway that goes around. Then there's parking spots. If you're going to activate the park, you're going to be within that boundary. And then when I did it. I set up the Wolf River Coil next to a bench. Started raining on me while I was up there. But hey, that's life. I did have a picture from Centennial I was going to show you, but we're not going to get back into that. So we talked a lot about who's here. Congrats to the people that just upgraded, people that are here looking for something to do. I know we talked about a lot of things we do, and I've done a lot of different things with radio, but I'll tell you, nothing has encouraged people to get into ham radio or upgrade their license to get more active in it than Parks on Air has for me and a lot of others. And if anybody says it's been a real drug on, let me know and we'll fight outside. So where do you find out about Parks on Air? You don't have to pull an app off the phone. You go to pota.app. It's a website. I promise it is. They got to be new parks, got to be state parks or federal parks. No, they don't have to be new parks. But you can't add new parks in unless they meet these requirements. There's a couple that don't meet the requirements any longer, like Hart Lakeside Park is still called Hart State Park. There's a couple more that got pulled off, but once they got put in the Parks and Air list, as long as they remain open to the public, they qualify to keep operating that way. That's what we just said. Everybody's doing great. They're learning more and getting closer into it. You got to, if you want to activate a park, how many QSOs do you have to have for POTA activation? 10. For soda activation, Bill? 4. But if you want to count it for POTA, you still got to get 10. That's okay.
Except for the carrying part.
You got to, I would encourage you, if you really are interested in doing something besides just driving to the park and setting up at the bench, and to go out, you can actually hike out into the parks, but to go to Summit is a great qualifier too, and that's what SOTA is. Summit's on the air. You activate a park just like I showed you all those setups. I did it every time I went to a park. I've been to a few. Hunters, you mentioned having, you dial it up, you listen to the AC4SH being at US 2207, say, give me your call sign, Kilo 9 Echo Delta Delta, is that right? And say, oh, Kilo 9 Echo Delta Delta is South Charlie 4 Sierra Hotel 59, and that's it. And you can test your radios out. You don't have to be on voice. You can do it on FT8. You can do it on CW. I guess you could do WinLink if you got it set up, you know. Any mode works. It's not very restricted.
You'll see on FT8, you'll see CQ POTA call sign.
Okay. And if you got to get signed up to see your awards, you don't even have to sign up to be a hunter, but it helps you know more about it because you can learn more of the rules and you get to see your awards then. The POTA spotting page, I'm not going to go into the live view, but if you go to pota.app, you'll see a list of parts and you can sort it any way you want to. In fact, you can, if you get tired of seeing it scroll off screen, because I've heard people say, oh, you can filter it or sort it by time, whatever you want to do, and it makes it easier.
I did not know you could pause the screen.
It's got a double bar.
Pull it up the top.
Just hit escape.
I always do frequency so it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeff. Yeah. Oh,
3 minutes or 5 minutes.
come on. So yeah, there it is right there. In fact,
Movie cursor, where's the pause?
Right there.
Oh, I just thought, never mind.
It
Those
paused.
are not horizontal, those are vertical. So
oh, you can change that, Wes.
The
But
hamburger means menu.
I'm so glad I brought up that I didn't know where it was.
well, hey, you know, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't know you can change it to a late shift, make it dark like that, or don't know you can do table view like this.
Yeah, I like the table.
Well, stay on it. But the pause is the one thing. Now, honestly, I don't use pause too much because when you're at the park, you don't have to worry. But if say these guys scrolled off, see it's got 49 seconds ago, about every 2 minutes it refreshes or somebody new pops in there. But if you sort by U.S. parks or you only want to do a certain band, you can do that too. But you can pause it and modify it the way you want to. So I'm glad I could teach. Oh, one other thing while I'm there. So who is this Alpha Bravo 9 Charlie Alpha? Look, I hovered over it. It's Dave in Indiana, and he's already at 85,000 QSOs. Look at that. If you want to see more about him, you can click on it and go deeper and find out this is what that guy is right there. And see he's got a lot of activation. That's a pretty big dog right there. We won't go any more into that. Not supposed to be bragging. I think it's going to go back to yeah. Oh no, this is where I wanted to be. All right, so that's enough about parks on the air in general. It's an even better one, Georgia State Parks on the Air, because it uses all the parks on the air stuff, but it's only Georgia State parks, and even the ones that used to be state parks. All right, so it's coming up April 5th, 6th. Got 52 parks on the map in Georgia. We did the first one in 2023. We got 52 parks. It was 50, and we had 2 new parks. Who knows the 2 new parks? Centennial and Stone Mountain. They were added on last year. Okay. And we want to get them any of those orange dots right there lit up. And Sewanee River Eco Lodge is circled, but it's done now. It's going to be activated. In fact, I'm going to go to Millen and see the guy that paid my other $100 back to get the place. He's already paid me, but I just want to say thank you in person. So that's all of them right there. If you've ever used Ham Alert or hadn't ever used Ham Alert, you can load up all those numbers in there, and when this April 5th and 6th comes up, it'll let you know when somebody's at one of those parks, and you work them then. There's one guy up in Blairsville, Whiskey 4 Golf Alpha, Bob, and remember his last name, he didn't activate hunt in 23 because he wasn't licensed yet. But he did start hunting later in the year, and I talked to Bob and I said, what can I do? I said, put you a low 40-meter dipole and turn on Ham Alert. He got 41 of the 52 parks hunted He was the winner in state. Oh, look at Colin. You got him on award. All right. Actually, Colin, he made a heck of an effort last year. He ran 100 watts, and how many parks did you go to?
14.
14 parks in 2 days.
I did 100 miles per QSO. I did 750 QSO, 750
A long way. That's right. This is Bob Mantell. That's who the top in-state hunter was. And again, it's April 5th, 6th from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And you can stay all night if the park will let you. If they run you off, hey, you can't work beyond dark.
Just sell him your Claude and give him his card.
They want to get your credit card. I'm working with state parks. I wish I could get them out of that, but I hadn't got that kind of traction yet. Okay, that's the categories right there. The club single park is one I highlighted because we had a little question about whether you can do more than one park last year, but you can't this year. So, but if you wanted to take the club out to a park and use Kilo Delta 4, Quebec Hotel Bravo, or something else, you could do that. But you got to have the club there. And anyway, Colin, like I said, worked multi-park low power, which was 100 watts. I worked multi-park QRP and Jess did too. Not that many QRP activators, but you know what QRP means? Low power. And the power levels right there, if you're, it means extra low power. So if you do CW digital, it's 5 watts and 10 watts phone. If you got a 705 or KX2 or 3, it's pretty handy, right? Why did I get the hours there? Oh, going the wrong way, Jess. Daggone it. Got to hold my hand. The guys that are hunters, we've got a category for hunters in and out of Georgia. And this is the score points for hunters, the number of parks they hunt that are real separate parks, plus the bonus for all the Georgia parks. It's not that complicated because you don't have to figure out any of that sort of stuff. And I'm going backwards. Okay, because when you sign up, there's already a sign up going. In fact, let me show you that while we're at it. I hit the wrong button, Jess. Here we go.
We hit escape here.
I'm slowly figuring this out. So if you go to gaparks.org, that's what the page looks like. If you want to sign up for a park, say I'm going to go activate one, I want to see who's activating what, or however it works, you go down there at the bottom and go to sign up to activate right there, the top line. If you want to see who's already signed up to activate, you can click on that right there, and that's the current schedule activation. Look, I only picked out 2 parks. It's in alphabetical order. I didn't do that because it's me. It's because AC4SH is the first alphabetical call sign on there. And you see all these people have already said, hey, we're going to go out to the parks again this year. That's the ones that don't have anybody said they're going to do it this year, and there's probably still 12 that don't have anybody going. So that may mean you or I got to go down to Southwest Georgia again. I'm going to go with, whatever.
I'll let you have it.
You're welcome. Okay. So, and like I said, you sign up, the scoring activator sends their logs in. The hunters don't have to send a log in at all. It'll calculate the score immediately. Who's ever done a contest? And send in a file. And what do you have to do next? You need to wait for your score. If you send in your file to here, you may have to wait to know how you rank, but you're going to get a score that moment. As soon as you submit it and it processes, it'll be there. If it doesn't do it right, send it in again. Probably have to fix it, figure it out. But it does work. And then the hunter scores after 2 weeks, they'll be able to see their final score. But it's actively doing the hunter scores right away. So this is the only real difference. It's not a difference so much, but it's a requirement. When an activator does a parking for the Georgia State Parks on the air, they have to put their park number in their log file, and they have to put their park-to-park number in there. If you don't put your park number in there, you can put it in the title, or if not, somebody's going to send you an email, hey, where were you when you did this? But it's so much easier just go ahead and put it in there. And just about any logging program, whether it's pencil and paper or Ham2K Polo or anything like that, will work. And that's, if you scan that QR code up here, I thought I had cards, but I don't. That's the Linktree page, and that's it. Oh, you're so slow. So much faster at home. Oh well, we won't worry about that. Anyway, anybody got questions about this so far? Are you tired of me talking? I told you I was going to talk a lot.
Yeah, how long do you spend in a park?
As long as you want to. I mean, really, and not trying to be a short answer, but you can spend 2 days.
Okay,
But
you've done so many parks, did you do more than one park a day?
I did 9. Colin did 14 in 2
I didn't
days.
spend more than 50 minutes in the park.
Yeah.
50 Q says 50 minutes.
You know, a lot of people, what they want to do, Mark, is they want to get at least that 10. Once the 10's done, the pressure's off. Then it's all gravy after that. You can do what you want to do. You can get in a, who's ever seen a pile up? Who's ever worked a pile up? Who has fun doing a pile up? Who knows what a pile up is? Don't know what a pile up is. All right. Somebody, I'll take hell. The reason I'm doing POTA is because when I first got my license, I got to go to a field day. And I go out there, rather than me spending the hour looking for somebody to talk to, I can call CQ. You know what I'm talking about, but Richard and Colin. When you call CQ, and Richard said this best, what do you want to do? Do you want to work a lot, or do you just want to hunt? And if you call CQ and it's a Parks on Air activation, people are going to call you so quick that when we call them together, sometimes they can hear each other, sometimes they can't. You got to sort out from the mix who's calling you. And it's not just because it's fun, it's also good training to learn how to use a radio. Understand what somebody's saying to you and be able to write it down on paper or on computer or respond to it. And do that and 3 other things because you're tuning in dial, looking at this, and you know, all that works out like that. How many times have you sat in a park, got somebody's call sign wrong, and you slow down in responding to it because you got to go back and fix the call sign again? You know, it happens. But is that enough answer?
Yes.
Okay.
More than
All right, well, that's good.
When y'all did your 100th out there, y'all made 40 or 50 contacts, probably in a little less than an hour.
That's right. You got to see that. I forgot about that. That was, it's kind of interesting to see how quick it can go like that sometimes.
Unless you go to Black Rock, spend all day to get 10.
Well, some people, you know.
Some people, yeah.
But that's a good question, though. Thank you, Mark.
Is there a separate category for like federal parks in Georgia versus Georgia parks?
For the Georgia State Parks on the Air event, we don't do anything but Georgia. One that says on the POTA list, Georgia State Parks. So the federal parks and the wildlife management areas and historic sites aren't included. And the reason we chose that was there's now 225 POTA sites, and we figured we'd never get somebody out to every one of those 225 in a weekend. But we got 49 out of 50 the first year, 51 out of 52 last year. If we don't get 52 this year, I think we'll just throw up our hand.
But that's only that one weekend. The rest
Just,
of the year, they're all the same.
Exactly. In fact, while we're doing the Georgia State Parks on there that weekend, you can work from the other places, but they don't qualify for our little contest. I say
Contest.
well, we're not doing 60, 30, 17, and 12 anyway, so I can call it a contest if I want to.
So how many people in the room are planning on activating Georgia POTA weekend?
I think I will.
All right, so, and I think I'll speak for everybody in here that's going. You go to that website and you can see when we're all planning on being in a park. I'm gonna try my best to, as much to help myself get the contacts as anything, but try to, shameless plug for Slack here, but I'm gonna try to post on Slack, hey, I'm gonna be at this park in the next 15 minutes, and again, on these days, I'm not spending hours, I'm spending minutes at the park to get it done, so if I put it out on Slack and I'm in your backyard, come out and meet. I'll be monitoring 5-2 on the way into and out of the parks in the event that I may be able to make a 2-meter contact in the park. So I encourage anybody, when you see me spot myself on Slack, come out and join me in the park, and be happy to let you sit down, and make a couple of my contacts.
That's I mean, good way to see it, good way to communicate it. And I would say, Bill, that's how I met you, was on 5-2 at Black Rock Mountain last year, doing this because I didn't even know you from anything at that point. And he was on 5-2 down the road. That's when we actually activated the park, a couple of parks that way really quickly.
And then just
We were down the road, I was up the hill.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going for soda.
And just because you're not a general or an extra doesn't mean you can't participate in this. There are a lot of activators that will get on 10 meters.
Yeah.
And they will stay down in the technician portion of 10 meters. So if you are, just have a technician's license and have a 10-meter rig, you can play along at home as well. And go out and activate.
It's worth mentioning Camelot. Is it worth mentioning Camelot?
Yeah, I mentioned it once, but that's okay. If you hadn't ever heard of Ham Alert, Google it. Look it up. Or if you're not on the Facebook page, it'll be a list on there to remind you to do that before long. But it's only those 52 parks. I got it turned on my phone, but it's on pause right now. And when that weekend starts, believe me, the first thing I'll do as I'm driving up, I'll be watching those. I say, damn, I can't do it. I'm between parks. But W8ANG, those two, and Mel down at Angie and Mel down at they were at Jekyll Island last year. Man, every park I came in, they were steady on 40 meters. That's another thing, 40 meters. If you have 40-meter dipole, it'll work with a vertical, but a dipole works a lot better. You can talk anywhere in Georgia right now at lunchtime. Bob and I know we talk a bunch on that too. Thank you, Bob, for all those too. Even though your vertical worked, it was not as strong as your dipole was, but we still made contact. Anybody?
I say it's fun hunting photo on 10 watts during the week, but it's not on the weekend.
Yeah, it does get a lot busier on the weekend. More people are doing it.
On 10
Yeah.
watts on the weekend.
That's all.
Right. All right, if you got any questions, Claude, it's Mr. Poda himself.
Oh, wait, just one last question. Did you ever get a certificate for activating all the parks? They never did.
They still say they're waiting on the artwork. There's a couple of us. Russ, KY4BX is the other one. It's missing one. That's okay. I got to do it again because I added on Eufaula, NWR, into the Georgia side. So when I go down there, Colin, I got to go buy Eufaula as well.
Which logging software you don't like the best?
That's a lot of them, and there's really not any bad ones. I've used AC Log N3HAP from the beginning because we use it for field day, and I'm really comfortable with it. I used Hammers one time, and I didn't miss anybody, but I sure got spooked. I said, I know it works. Forget about it for anymore. But it's got a lot of features that AC Log doesn't have because it pulls online data better and just whatever you like. But there's at least a dozen if you really dug and found them. What's that newest one that's online?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, but anyway, there's a Ham 2K Polo is pretty new. Hammers
It's a mobile one.
I've been using that recently.
Yeah, and it's got the features. It's got it self-locates because it uses the phone location. It'll start your spotting so you don't have to remember to type it in right and all that stuff.
If you've got cell phone service.
If you get something.
That's right. Yeah.
And it also depends on whether whether you're carrying a Mac or Windows or Windows.
And a lot of those parks that you went to do not have cell phone service.
Yeah, there's a few.
What takes it, and that, I guess, and I'm asking dumb questions, I'm sure, but
There's no dumb question.
when you, what puts, like, your contacts and your login, does that put it in that photo out? Does that automatically send that in, or how do you get
No,
it?
you have to send it in.
You have to send
And
it
it's
in.
not that difficult. There's two ways you can do it. One is you generate a log, and they call it EDIF format. But you don't have to worry about that because if you use one of these logging programs, software, they're going to generate that type log. But even if you write it down on paper, and you can transcribe it to one of them, or they've actually got a manual input portion on the page where you can put them in there, and it's pretty good at error checking too. It'd be kind of hard to do on the fly at the park, but if you keep a list, and I mean, every time I go to the park, I I got a notepad with me just in case. And sometimes I make myself use it, just so I can remember how to do it. But after you write about 25 call signs, it gets hard to write where you can read it and keep going, and it's not nearly as much fun. Because I like to call Joe by Joe's name rather than call him Robert J. You know, that's what shows up on the or I don't remember him at all.
All right. Thanks a lot, Claude. And if you go out and join the stuff, you will learn. I've learned a lot from Jess and Claude and Colin. You'll learn something every time you go sit down with these guys. Any old business? All right. The minutes were posted from last month on the Group IO. Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Minutes are approved. Upcoming events. We've got 4 in dipoles that's got to be tuned before N1D. So, March the 15th, Watson Mill State Park, picnic station number 1. Right, Todd? We're going to start around 9 o'clock. Y'all can show up whenever you want to. We're going to tune them. I'm bringing a rig expert. Jess is going to have his nano. We're going to
I'm a rig expert, and then I'll bring it.
Good. We got plenty of stuff if you got stuff you want to do. And you'll learn how to tune an antenna. When you leave there, you will know. And since you have to work hard and take up and down and go walking back, we're going to burn hot dogs, maybe some hamburgers around 11 o'clock. So, bring an appetizer.
And a dozen donuts.
I was waiting for that.
Walmart.
Oh, you will get to actually park while you're there too.
That's right. And we'll have some other radios there. I'll bring an 891. There's no
Get
telling
those
what to
tomorrow.
show up. So we got to test the antennas after we trim them. So. All right. April 5th is Georgia Parks on the Air. I usually hunt because I drink too much coffee. So. And then April the 26th is the day right now we've got on this calendar for N1D.
Same location?
Same location. It'll be on the north lawn at the Tate Center as long as we get approved. We have not got approved yet. Bill's got the request in, so fingers crossed. And then down the road, we still got our swap meet that we're going to do, one meeting. So start looking at your old gear, what you want to sell, what you want to have. We've got a few things left in the club stuff that's been donated that we're going to get rid of.
What's the date of that?
May, I think.
You had a bunch of
June.
blank stares.
Is it
when you
June?
When you said N1D, a lot of blank stares came up.
N1D is April the 26th.
Well, what is it?
What does it mean?
Huh?
Number 1 dog special
Number
event
1
station.
dog.
In April the 20th, oh wait, you said April the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Colin, one other thing is out of ways. In June, we're going to have Summerfield Day out at Colbert. So they've given us the entire park. Colin's gone out there with me and Bob. The ones I was at work trunk or treat last year. That's a big park. So we've got plenty of room to put up antennas. I've got to go meet Michelle, who's over parks, and just get a final thumbprint that if you want to pitch a tent out there, you can. We've got access to bathrooms, water, power. I'm going to bring a trailer. Anybody wants to bring a camper to volunteer for those 2 days, we won't reject. And then we're going to cook out Saturday and try to get everybody to come out. So, and we're going to start at some of these public events. We're going to be looking for volunteers to do a public information table. We go out there and they see all of us running around in our vests and everything, but at the finish line, just setting up a little table, and so you'll be surprised who might come by and say, what were these guys doing? So, get our name out there. So if you don't have time to do that, you might want to do the information tables or something like that. Okay? repeater, Ron up in Gainesville's got it, it is down, undetermined amount. It's got gremlins in it, it'll transmit when it's not supposed to, and then it won't release it. So 440 and the culvert is completely off until he can try to find the parts. You got something, Jack?
Yes, I think all of you guys, and, yeah, know about the Thursday night net. The Thursday night Aries net at 7:30. I guess I'm almost begging for some of you guys to sign up to be either the alternate net control or the net control. If you're shy, you're afraid you're gonna mess up, we've all been there, we still, someone will still mess up. But I'd just really like to hear some different voices. Rather, me and Philip are pretty much rotating that, and if we could spread the wealth, it'd be great. And there's a sign up place for that on the website. So check it out.
And those contests contribute to Phil's, blog for reporting to Aries.
For Aries hours.
Aries hours, POTA activations are counted. That's the portable operation. SOTA will work too. Working races, anything that you're out and you're not on commercial power and you're setting up, that qualifies in my eyes as a portable operation, which counts toward the hours that I report monthly to the state, and they do their figuring and stuff. So you can't get paid, but sometimes the county excuse me, can use those hours to recoup equipment sometimes. Okay? Anything else? All right. So, March 15th, see everybody out there, we'll burn hot dogs, hamburgers.
And eat donuts.
And Jess's Donuts, we're gonna get him one in a special case. We're gonna buy it on Monday and leave it out until Saturday and get it out.
Put them in a paper towel and put them in the microwave, they're good.
Question, if anybody happens to know this, I typically, just because of the equipment I have right now, have to transmit off the Watkinsville repeater. There's about a 50-second delay, and then I hear the transmission come in on the Athens, the 330 machine. Anybody know why that is?
I haven't heard.
Okay, wait, you're transmitting on Watkinsville's 2-meter.
Yep, and if I'm listening online to the Athens repeater, about 50 seconds.
No, that's, it is, it's not just the Athens repeater on that scanner. It's Jeff's repeater, our repeater. So you're hearing your transmission on Jeff's repeater on that broadcast device.
But I'm not coming in through you guys.
No.
Okay, I've been sitting here trying to listen to activity, make sure I'm not breaking in on you guys.
Well, that's got a delay, that's got a bunch of repeaters.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten 3 or 4 repeaters on there, and Jeff's and ours are 2 of them.
All right, I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting in on anybody if they were on there, and if I'm not there to monitor at my CPU, then.
You're good.
Okay.
I'm glad to know somebody's listening to my stream, thank you.
That's 2 elements for you, good. All right, if nobody's got anything else, I'll move to adjourn this month and get everybody's stuff together and then see it, hopefully everybody on March the 15th. All right, all adjourned.